Hello, I'm a curious programmer, Xiaoxuan Teng Kong. After the first 4 episodes, I simulated the vertical downward movement of the mouse, then roughly stabilized the recoil of the gun in the vertical direction. On this basis, using an airplane poster as an anchor point, I calculated the gun's random deviation by processing the image. Now let's take the horizontal deviation as a starting point. See how difficult it is to stabilize the M762. After optimization, I am now capturing images at intervals of about 8 milliseconds, which means a rate of 125 Hz. My monitor's refresh rate is 144 Hz. So the fineness of data acquisition is close to the refresh rate of a high refresh rate monitor. The details of the image will not be lost. According to statistics, in-game shots are not fired immediately when the mouse is pressed. There is a delay of about 20 milliseconds before the first shot is fired. The data collected this time is from the M762 with 152 shots fired. A total of 6,384 rounds of ammunition were used. In order to visualize the horizontal offset, I created a graph for each of the 42 rounds in each magazine. The horizontal coordinate is the horizontal offset, and the vertical coordinate is the time axis. As time passes, horizontal offsets are becoming more and more outrageous and irregular. Before analyzing the data, let's determine the scale. When measured close-up, the poster is 446 pixels wide, and heads are 138 pixels wide. The ratio of heads to posters is 138 divided by 446, which is 0.3094. When standing in the firing position, the width of the poster is 84 pixels, so 1 pixel corresponds to the width of the head. 1 divided by 84 divided by 0.3094 equals 0.03847. On the map, a large grid is 1,000 meters. A small grid is 100 meters. For amplified measurements, 100 meters is 1,150 pixels. I am 173 pixels away from the wall. So my shooting distance is 173 divided by 1,150 times 100 equals 15.0435 meters. It is now determined that 1 pixel is equivalent to 0.03847 head width at 15 meters shooting distance. From the similarity triangle, it is easy to calculate that a 1 pixel deviation at 50 meters shooting distance is equivalent to 0.12824 head width. Similarly, at 100 meters, 150 meters, and 200 meters they are 0.2565, 0.38475, and 0.513 head widths, respectively. With the enemy facing you, the torso is roughly 3 times as wide as the head. For the sake of simplicity, I'll only statistically analyze the mean and standard deviation of the data. Column A is the serial number of the bullet. Column C is the average offset of each bullet, measured in pixels. Column B is the standard deviation of each bullet's position from the average in column C. Simply put, it can be understood this way. The position of each bullet will most likely be added or subtracted from the average position by 1 standard deviation. Let's say the average position is 13. The standard deviation is 2. Then the odds are that the round will hit between 11 and 15. So the larger the standard deviation, the greater the fluctuation in the randomized positions. Columns D through H then convert the pixel deviations in column C to head deviations at different shooting distances. The serial number of the first round is 0, the first round being unaffected by recoil. So it is very accurate. It is only affected by the first 20 milliseconds or so of breathing. The average deviation from 200 meters away is also only 0.03 head widths, about the size of an eyeball. The first 14 rounds produced no more than 0.5 head width of offset at 15 meters. In other words, when your pre-sight is accurately centered on the head, even with random jitter, without left or right gun control, the first 14 rounds all averaged consistent headshots at 15 meters, at a distance of 200 meters. The first 4 rounds were not offset more than 1.5 head widths. So with extremely precise aiming, there is also some probability that the first 4 shots will all hit the torso. It is worth noting that the average offset of all bullets is negative, meaning that in its natural state, the muzzle tends to veer to the left. The statistical probability of each round's deflection direction shows that the muzzle indeed tends to veer to the left. These 2 tables tally the instantaneous offset of each round relative to the previous round. Separate statistics for left and right directions. The following analysis is based on the data of left offsets. The first round has no recoil. It's only affected by breathing. Assuming the pre-sight is accurate enough, once it shifts to the left due to breathing, the first shot at 150 meters would already be offset by about 0.66 head width, making it impossible to hit the head with the first shot. Assuming the first shot hits the center of the enemy's torso, from 100 meters, the jitter averages of the second rounds were all greater than 1.5 head widths, which means that the random jitter of the second shot will basically cause you to miss the enemy at 100 meters. There are some large average jitters greater than 1.5 head widths at 50 meters, which suggests that even if you could achieve the lightning-fast gun control talked about in the 3rd video, you still might miss the enemy's torso. However, lightning-fast gun control only exists in theoretical limits. In reality, the off-target rate would be much higher. The statistical environment for the above data is M762 with extended magazine and red dot sights, standing position, not holding breath, and firing when the reticle reaches the center of the screen while breathing. However, the gun's accessories, shooting position, and whether you hold your breath or not, will all impact the shot. Welcome any other clues from my buddies, and I will take them fully into account in future statistics. See you next time.